Join me as I dive into the wild story of how Brian Carn got kicked out of church at 38. Let's see what really happened. Brian Carn is a well-known figure in the church community, often making headlines for his dynamic preaching style and large following. However, recent events have led to a shocking turn of events in his life. Brian Carn has been a prominent televangelist and pastor, leading a significant congregation and reaching a wide audience through various media platforms. His ministry, known for its prosperity gospel teachings, has attracted both praise and criticism over the years. To understand what led to his ejection from the church, it's essential to consider his role and actions that may have sparked controversy. There have been allegations of financial mismanagement and questions about the transparency of his ministry's operations. What if I told you that one of the most controversial prophets in modern ministry is making a move that could shake the entire foundation of the Church of God in Christ? Yes, prophet Brian Carn, a man praised by some as anointed and condemned by others as deceptive, has just made a decision that's sending shock waves across the gospel world. Is he really leaving Kojic to start something new, or is there a deeper reason behind this so-called new church that no one's daring to talk about publicly? Because what's happening right now might not just be about leadership, it might expose the growing cracks inside one of the largest Black Pentecostal denominations in America. And trust me, once you hear the full story, you'll question whether this is a move of God or a rebellion in disguise. Brian Carn has always been a lightning rod for controversy, whether it's his bold prophecies, his undeniable charisma, or the swirling rumors surrounding his ministry. His name never stays out of the spotlight for long, but this time, the conversation has shifted to something even bigger, a major move that could mark a turning point in both his life and the future of the Church of God in Christ. Now, for those unfamiliar, the Church of God in Christ, or Kojic, isn't just any church organization, it's a global denomination with deep roots in Pentecostal tradition, history, and leadership. It has produced some of the most influential pastors, bishops, and gospel leaders of our time. So, when a figure as high-profile as Prophet Brian Carn hints at moving in a new direction, people take notice, and not always in a positive way. The whispers began quietly. A few church insiders claimed Carn was preparing to pastor a new church, one not officially under the Kojic umbrella. Some said it was a calling, others said it was rebellion, and before long, speculation turned into public debate. In this video, we're breaking down what's really going on. Is Prophet Brian Carn leaving the Church of God in Christ for good? Why now? And how could this decision reshape both his ministry and the denomination itself? You won't believe some of the hidden motives and behind-the-scenes details that have recently surfaced. Stay with me because, as we unpack this story step by step, you'll see how power, politics, prophecy, and personal conviction are all colliding in a way that might permanently redefine church leadership as we know it. But before we dive in, here's something to think about. When does obedience to God's calling cross the line into disobedience to established order? That's the very question at the heart of this unfolding drama. Now, let's begin with how all of this started. The first signs that something was changing in Brian Carn's ministry long before the public even noticed. To understand where Prophet Brian Carn stands today, you have to go back a few years before the talk of new churches, before the recent sermons that raised eyebrows, and before the quiet distance that began forming between him and the traditional Church of God in Christ structure. Brian Carn has never been your typical preacher. From his teenage years he was labeled a prodigy, an anointed voice who could move crowds to tears with his prophetic accuracy and fiery preaching. People called him the young prophet, and his ministry gained national attention fast. He wasn't just another preacher, he was a spectacle, a phenomenon in motion. But with that kind of attention comes pressure and scrutiny. As Carn's influence grew, so did his independence. He started to establish his own identity, separate from the denomination that once nurtured him. While other Kojic leaders were careful to move within the hierarchy, Carn began doing things differently. He launched independent conferences, developed his own leadership teams, and created global events under his own ministry brand, Kingdom City Church. The situation escalated when concerns about his conduct and the governance of his church came to light. Members of his congregation and church leaders began to scrutinize his actions more closely, leading to increased tension within the church community. It appears that these tensions eventually boiled over, resulting in a dramatic confrontation. The incident involving Brian Carn's removal from the church has sparked a wide range of reactions from the community and media outlets. Some have expressed shock and disappointment, while others have raised questions about accountability within religious organizations. Media coverage has been extensive, with many outlets seeking to understand the circumstances surrounding his ejection. In response, Brian Carn and church officials have made statements, though details remain somewhat unclear. The moment of confrontation was reportedly intense, with emotions running high as church leaders and members addressed their concerns about Brian Carn's actions. The stakes were undoubtedly high, given his influential position and the size of his following. This confrontation ultimately led to his removal from the church, leaving many to wonder about the future of his ministry and personal life. In summary, the incident involving Brian Carn's ejection from the church at 38 has raised significant questions about leadership, accountability, and governance within religious organizations. The implications of this event will likely be far-reaching, affecting not only Brian Carn, but also his congregation and the broader church community. If you have any thoughts on this story, I'd love to hear them. Share your opinions in the comments below. Also, be sure to check out my other videos for more updates on similar stories that you might find interesting. Thanks for the watching and subscribe.